Hey guys, thanks for spending some time with me today. Today's project is the 2006 Honda Accord. Some of you, not many, have seen the videos that I did quite a while ago, some of the first videos I did. So this car has some special meaning to me because I learned a lot from this car. Anyways, it's got some more issues. This time it is leaking. And it is leaking badly, and it is leaking from everywhere. Now, at first I was a bit concerned, but then I started doing some research and found that this is a very common problem with these engines, that essentially the gaskets go bad eventually, and then you have to change them out, and that's hopefully going to resolve the issue. We need to do things like valve cover. There's a VVT solenoid gasket that needs to be changed, a filter actually, and then also the power steering pump needs to be, we're going to do a rebuild on that. So anyway, should be fun and exciting. Hopefully you come along for the ride. We're going to start with the power steering fluid pump and get that cleaned up, and we got a rebuild kit, so we're going to do that. So let's go ahead and give this a try. As you can see, pretty much everything below the valve cover is covered in oil. It's filthy, it's dirty, it seems like stuff is leaking out from everywhere, and that's what we're hoping to fix. Once this is all done, I'm going to do a bit of an engine detail for two reasons. One's just because it's filthy and I hate when things are dirty. The second reason is we can see if we've actually managed to fix the leaks, and it'll be a lot more obvious if there's any leaks at that point. So all right, let's get the belt off. Now we're going to crack the high pressure line. These are 10s. Since we're here, we'll crack the low pressure line as well. And what I'm going to do is put the line in a bag with some zip ties to avoid some spillage. All right, so we have two 12 millimeters. One is located here, and the other one is down here below this. One of the things I'm going to do is move the reservoir, just tuck that out of the way. All right, we're going to start with these 10s. Just kidding, 12s. Well, that's fun. Let's try this. Hey, we got one. All right, screw this. We're going to the vise. Easy peasy. One of the seals, two of the seals we're gonna, or the O-rings we're going to be replacing on here. All right, so this part's fun. You have all of these little vanes, they're called, and they need to come out, but this pin needs to come out first so we can remove it. Another one of the O-rings. You see how loose that thing was? Well, you got to loosen this one here. This is a 19, I believe. Here we go. And your vanes have a shape to them. One side's a rounded side, and the other side's a more square size. So on the vane itself, the top of the vane is going to be rounded, and the bottom's going to be more square. So you can see that. Probably not. And then on the witness marks, there's some that'll be halfway up in the middle on one side, and then they'll be on the bottom and the top of the other side. Also, one thing you'll want to note, you'll notice that this ring has a hole in the top on one side, and that shows you which side is up. I'm making a mess of this, but that's why this is. Let's give this a try. Not I'm a pro mechanic. Watch me do this. All right, so you can notice on here there's a witness mark right around the inside. I probably should have gotten a punch. That would have been a smarter thing to do, and marked it. But this one's got a much deeper groove on the inside, which matches up with the center ring here. I'll put these aside. Make sure I have all my vanes removed. Let's get that out. We're going to get an Allen wrench for that. Alright, so we have a 10 millimeter. So we can get this done without screwing something up. And back to the vise. Wow, it's in there. All right. Plan B. Let's try a longer wrench. my vise. Boy, it's just tearing that thing up. So super and easy, just like that. So we're gonna get this. Possibly, we'll just work on that later. And then let me get it back on the tray so we don't lose anything. Obviously we have the big dog here. Now this is a reverse thread, so make sure you go counterintuitive. You want to go forward, not back, to get this off. Alright, let's see if we can't get this off without killing ourselves. Here we go. Okay, that's fun. Looks like we need to bring in the big dog. Getting a little concerned. This bolt's starting to get chowdered up. Alright. Just needed some leverage. How filthy that thing is. Oh boy. There's a 19 to get this off, this bad boy. And again, it's a reverse thread. Get these O-rings out. So most all of these O-rings have just kind of been sitting in there. My understanding of an O-ring is it's supposed to be crushed at some point, and it could be that by removing everything it's doing that for you, but it doesn't seem like they should be that loose. Okay, so I believe I have all of the parts out. Let's get rid of these O-rings here. But these things are flat as heck. Trying, of course, not to mar any of the areas. Don't scrape them up at all if you can avoid it. And you have the one inside here. Okay, in my very simple logic, you don't want to hit directly down on the piston or on the on this guy. So I'm going to use a block of wood to kind of dissipate the direct impact. I'm hoping that that's the right thing to do here. We'll find out. I just realized something. Let me get some parts clean. Stand by. I'm looking to see if there's an O-ring in here. Because it appears there's a slot for one. But I don't see one in here. Very strange. All right, let's see if we can get this thing out. Okay, looks like we're making headway. Gonna make sure there's room for the bearing to come out. All right, let's go back to the bench. The issue I'm having is I don't know, I don't want to mar the inside, but I don't know what it's connected to. There we go. Easy peasy. Oh man, that thing's hard as a rock. And one more O-ring. I'm doing this rebuild because frankly I didn't want to buy a new power steering pump. It's clearly got a leak or many leaks. And we need to get this redone. Alright, so I have this guy I need to get off. Let's get the O-ring off. Okay, last thing we need to do is take this bearing off. We gotta hold that in place and push that down out of it, right? Okay, right? Is that what we're thinking? I don't have the depth here. We do have the depth here. I'll get the old piece of wood. Makes me feel a little better. Apparently it doesn't make the wood feel any better. We're making some headway. Holy mother. Like a glove. Alright, that was easy. You can hear that bearing. Okay, so that was good. We needed to replace that. Alright, let me just make sure that we're okay here. So, let's get this thing cleaned up. Let me get myself together. We'll reconvene. Alright, so the first thing we're going to start with is the shaft. So this is our old bearing. It was, if you can hear that, not good. So out with the old, in with the new. That's the part number. And we got to get this guy down here on top of that guy. So what we need to do is, one, we can use our old bearing to press it down, right, so we don't damage the new one. Two, we don't want to damage the machined end of here, of this shaft here. So we're going to want to put something underneath it. Just go like that. Go like that. I believe this 19 is about the perfect size. Yes, it is. We grab a hammer. Oh, trying to do this right here so it's better for the camera. We might have to move to the vise. We might have to move to the vise. Let's see what we can do here. All right, so I got a 19 mil. It's riding on the inner race of this old bearing. We're going to use that to hammer it down and see if we can't get that on the new one. And a 1 and a 2. Before I break my new bearing. You know what? Let me do this. Just put a touch of grease on there. Don't need to go crazy. Nothing crazy. Just a little bit to help it slide in there. Let's try this again. Okay, looking good. Everything else on the bench falls apart. Oh, if I just had a press. Oh, if I only had a press. Getting really close. Almost there, boys. Almost there. With authority. Here we go. All right. Nice and tightly seated. All the way at the bottom. We'll get our rag. Wipe off any excess grease that's squeezed out there. All right, I think we did it. So now we got to get this seal in here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on it. Just a scotch. And this should go in finger tight here.
And it does. It's not seated evenly around the whole circle, so I'm just making sure it's even. Okay. So that's sealed, and that's sitting even in this, there's a chamfer on the metal right here, and so this lip has to be right at the bottom of that chamfer. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. Okay. Now, this guy goes in there, and looky here. Just going to put a little grease on that, but gonna need to do, what am I doing here? That guy can sit comfortably down in there. There we go. Not ding or mar up the bottom there. Let's just do what we've been doing. Of course, you don't want to get your old one stuck in there, which I was just about to stop. I was like, oh, let's not go too far. But it wouldn't be a Sam video if we didn't do something wrong, right? Okay, are we there? Let me just give a taparoo. Okay. Just making sure it's seated and that there's the snap ring. The snap ring groove is available all the way around, and that it's seated evenly all the way around, which it is. So let's put the snap ring in. Okay, so many of you will remember, if you watched, the beginning of this video, that there was no snap ring in here. And that was kind of a surprise to me, because there should have been one. There's another surprise, and we'll talk about that when we get into the O-rings here in a minute, that makes me believe perhaps this thing had been rebuilt before this time. So we will see. Doesn't matter, it is what it is. So this is the snap ring that goes in it. This is the part number. There's two snap rings listed in ALLDATA, and one of them's discontinued, but they still have it in there. So that's the new part number for this snap ring. So we're going to get some snap ring pliers, and we are going to do our best to get this thing installed, like so. And then we're going to go with gonna make sure that thing is seated all the way in there. Okay. Now, if you guys are working on your own cars at home and you don't have ALLDATA, I should say, ALLDATA, it's very helpful. So like I have this printed off where it shows like every single part in the whole pump, and you could just print this off. So if you have any questions about where things go, or the onion rings, apparently I'm hungry, the O-rings, things like that, it tells you everything that they have. It tells your sizes, all of that stuff. I believe they have deals constantly during the year where you can get it for like half off. I've got quite a few cars, as you guys know, that I work on. I want to say I paid $25 a year per car, and it gives you all this information. It's fantastic. I don't know how I lived without it, but just as a heads up. So I'm going to be referring to this just to make sure that I'm going in the right order, but this is invaluable information that's really, really inexpensive to have. All right. Now, one of the other things that I forgot to mention when we discussed the O-rings, and I had 2 O-rings of this size, I couldn't figure out where it went. So I reviewed the footage, and I saw that when I was taking out the shaft here, someone had put an O-ring underneath the bearing here. So it doesn't show that in the directions. It doesn't show that anywhere else that there should be a bearing, or excuse me, an O-ring underneath there. So I don't know why it was put there, but it certainly leads me to believe that this was already rebuilt once. Also by the obviously incredible amount of freaking torque that was put on the bolts that I struggled with just getting off. So anywho, let's continue along here. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little tray. We're going to start putting some O-rings in the genuine Honda power steering fluid. From everything I've read and understand, Hondas are quite finicky when it comes to their power steering. And yeah. So let's do this. Get that nice and lubed up with the power steering fluid. Okay. We got that guy going, so we'll put him aside. Start on this here. So this, of course, is the exterior of the pump. And the interior, that's a machine surface, so that should be nice and clean. Which should be, because it all was in my ultrasonic cleaner. So let's get busy. All right. Alright, so this is going to go. So I'm looking at my instructions here. This is why these are so nice to have. And it's just showing that the roll pin, with the way that thing's oriented, it's going to go towards the back of the inlet right here. So the hole in the back is where that needs to go. Okay, we're going to get our O-rings here. Slide those into place. This little guy. All right. Boy, I hope this works. The reason I'm doing this is because I didn't want to buy a new pump. I'm just tired of buying new things all the time. And I'd really prefer not to if I can avoid it, while simultaneously not ruining what I have. It's an interesting situation that I have. But nevertheless, if worse comes to worse, you got to buy a new fuel pump. But the metal all works. So actually, if worse comes to worse, you got to take it apart, put in new stuff, and put it back together again, which is still significantly cheaper than buying a new pump. So this may be a fool's errand. I am a fool. So, but either way, we're going to figure out if we can do this or not. I think we're on the right path so far. So on this interior ring, there's a little dot here on the top. I don't know if you can see it or not. So that goes up, and then there's a groove here for the dowel pin. So it just sits in there like that. Now there's also a little groove down here, and that's for these rubber seal things here. So there's two different colors. I think the original came with a green one, but one of them's round, one of them's flat. The black one goes against the exterior wall, or goes in first, if you will. I may have to take that out if I can't get these in, but we will see. That's why we're giving this a try. Not, I'm a professional, watch how it's done correctly. Where's the fun in that anyways? Okay, so that's definitely, that was way easier to go. So it's going to get really tight when it goes inside with the dowel pin. So I am putting this in now, lining that up. Let's get the dowel put in there. It's so easy. Okay, let's put this guy down. Now they're lined up. Let's see if we can't get this dowel pin lined up. There we go. Okay, we're square there and good, and we're good here. So now, there we go. There we go. I'm going to put in a little bit of steering fluid just so there's some down there. Not too much, because I don't want to create a barrier of oil that doesn't allow everything to sit down flush. And because I'm an idiot, it all came right out because I shouldn't have done that yet. And I have plugs for those freaking holes, and I don't know I did that. Okay. Do it yourself. It's the best. Well, it was a noble effort. Okay. Let's keep going here. We're going to get this guy in here. Now, on these, there's a rounded edge and a square edge. And I think we talked about this. And there's two distinct patterns. One where it's got half. You see the scratches go halfway up. And the other one, there's one on the top and one on the bottom. You want the scratches to go in the direction that it's spinning, I think. So that is what we're going to do. Put them in there like that. And I will tell you if it doesn't work. I fairly confident this is the right way, but we will find out. Because there's 50-50 chance here. They're either all wrong or they're all right. So it'll be a little bit exciting when we turn it on for the first time. I mean, who doesn't like excitement when you're trying something for the first time? Alright, so there's, at least on mine, there's one that's a little bit oblong and one that's straight up and down circle. So it goes in the oblong one. And you can tell because the one that's a circle, at least again on mine, the one right here, it actually goes through to a hole on the other side. So I'm assuming that's where you're going to have fluid passing through there. Whereas the other one is just, it just dead ends in the metal. So that's where your pin's going to go. If I can find the hole. Okay. And then this big guy is going to go up here like so. Okay. All right. So we are going to try to attach these things together. Now, with my particular model, there's an O-ring and a little port right here on the corner that I didn't see in almost any of the other ones that I did. They have this one in the middle and they have the one out here, but this one they don't have. So not sure why that's the case, but on the backing you can see that's where it's going to match up with here. There's a little, that's the hole where the oil's going in. It's going to feed this guy. And then this little opening here, of course, at the top will go right there. So it's idiot proof that even I can figure out how this goes together. So let's put this down and see where we're at with things. There we go. So just had to get the threads lined up on the shaft here, and it went right together. Now, what we're going to do now is going to flip this upside down, like so. Should have thought about this before I did that. Have something to hold it. Come on, rags. So the next thing we're going to do is get our little bolts here. Just slide you over here like that. Stay. Stay. We're going to put a little I'm going to put some Loctite on these bad boys. Oh, there we go. Okay. It's very liquidy. Pure trigger control. Oh my gosh. It's all falling apart here. It's all falling apart here. Okay. Just do a quick snug by hand. The torque specs on these are like, no, it's like 19 foot-pounds or something like that. It's not very much. So there's no need to crank these things down. Get it nice and snug. Says the guy doesn't know what he's doing. So this guy goes on the pressure control valve. So put the O-ring on him. Alright, so you get your pressure control valve. It's got these little holes here. At the top it's got like a cleared out area. That's going to go in first, or face towards the pump here. There you go. Look at that. And then this guy's going to get tightened up here. Our best friend here. Now I tried to get a replacement nut or bolt or whatever that thing is, bolt, and you can't find them. They don't sell them separately. It's another brilliant move by Honda. Make sure you can't buy that piece. So again, we're not going to crank it down to hell and back. We're just going to get her snug. Oh my gosh. What's wrong with me today? Okay, so then we got that one done. And now we got to go to this guy over here. And this one also has an O-ring. Then on top of that, we have our lovely crankshaft. Again, you're doing a reverse thread here. And that will be torqued to spec when we put it back on the vehicle. The fun and exciting and scary thing about doing stuff like this when you're doing everything for the first time is you legit wonder to yourself, is this all gonna work when I turn it back on? Like, is this legit gonna work when I turn it back on? That's what goes through my head. There's no reason it shouldn't. There's absolutely no reason it shouldn't. That doesn't change how your mind works. All right. So that O-ring is flat as can be. Well, we're just breaking. There we go. That works too. Break in half. So we're going to go ahead and put that on there. SMBK 1781. The next thing and the last thing we're going to do is replace our power steering fluid reservoir. That slides on this little bracket over here like so. We need to put some power steering fluid. That's important. You don't want to not have power steering fluid. That would be bad. We're using genuine Honda power steering fluid. Should probably get a funnel for this. I'm going to do that. I'm a bit of a nerd. I label my funnels. And it's going to go down a little bit, obviously, because as I turn it on and run the engine, we're going to lose. Someone's going to filter through from the rebuild we did. Okay, so let's put you guys in a place where if this thing just goes berserk, we can watch the whole thing just go berserk. All right, let's give this a shot. Hope it doesn't blow. There it is. There's a rebuilt power steering pump. It's running well. I had to refill the fluid, obviously, as it circulated through. I'm going to turn the wheels a couple more times to make sure that we got all the fluid distributed well, but job done. I was very excited to get that done. That thing was leaking bad too. There's so many leaks in this car, but that power steering pump was a big one. So I'm glad we got her done. Now let's go drive it and make sure nothing falls apart.